Yes, from the 2 pages you shared, the main grammar is not a large grammar chapter. It is mainly sentence structure plus punctuation grammar. Here is the important grammar you should learn. Number 1, capital letters. A sentence must begin with a capital letter. She works in Bristol. She worked in Bristol. Use capital letters for the first word of a sentence. The book is interesting. Names: John, London, Bristol. Days and months: Monday, August. The pronoun I am tired. Pattern capital letter plus sentence punctuation. Open quote, she lives in London, close quote. Number 2, complete sentences. A basic English sentence normally needs subject, verb, other information. Examples: open quote, I study English. Subject, verb, close quote. Open quote, she works in Bristol. Subject, verb, place, close quote. Open quote, we went to a restaurant. Subject, verb, place, close quote. A complete sentence normally ends with full stop, question mark, exclamation mark. Number 3, commas with introductory clauses. When a sentence begins with an introductory clause, we often use a comma. Pattern, introductory clause plus main clause. Open quote, when we arrived, we went straight to a restaurant. Close quote, open quote. After we left, someone tried to phone us. Close quote. Open quote, if you need help, ask me. Close quote. The first part gives the background or condition. The second part gives the main information. Compare open quote, when we arrived, we went to a restaurant, close quote. The comma makes the structure easier to read. Now 4, commas between adjectives. When 2 or more adjectives independently describe a noun, we can separate them with commas. Open quote, he is a tall, thin boy, close quote. Open quote, it was a big expensive car, close quote. Open quote, she has long blonde hair, close quote. But important test, try putting and between the adjectives. Open quote, a tall and thin boy, close quote. Therefore, open quote, a tall, thin boy, close quote. But not every pair of adjectives needs a comma. Open quote, a beautiful young woman, close quote. We normally don't write, open quote, a beautiful young woman, close quote, because beautiful young works as a combined adjective phrase. Number 5, commas in lists. Use commas to separate items in a list. Open quote, I bought apples, oranges, bananas and grapes, close quote. Open quote, we visited France, Germany, Italy and Spain, close quote. Structure A, B, C and D. The comma separates the individual items. 6, commas around interrupting information. Some words or phrases interrupt the normal flow of a sentence. We can put commas around them. Open quote, I decided, however, that I needed something to eat, close quote. After that, fortunately, we had no more problems. Close quote, the sentence still works if we remove the interrupting word. Open quote, I decided that I needed something to eat, close quote. Open quote, after that, we had no more problems, close quote. Common interrupting words, fortunately, unfortunately, therefore, of course, in fact. 7, colon. A colon introduces a list, explanation, or further detail. A, introducing a list. Open quote, the shop sells many things: tables, chairs, wardrobes, and beds. Close quote. B, introducing an explanation. Open quote, he had one problem: he had no money. Close quote. C, introducing choices from your exercise. Open quote, we have 2 choices: stay here and wait, or go and look for them. Close quote. Important rule, usually the words before the colon should form a complete thought. Open quote, I need 3 things: a pen, paper, and a ruler. Close quote. Number 8, semicolon. A semicolon connects 2 closely related independent clauses. Pattern complete sentence, complete sentence. Open quote, I went round this morning, nobody was there. Close quote, both parts can stand alone. Open quote, I went round this morning, nobody was there. Close quote. The semicolon shows that the 2 ideas are strongly connected. Another example. Open quote, it was raining, we stayed at home. Close compare. Open quote, it was raining, we stayed at home. Close quote. The semicolon creates a stronger connection. Number 9, question mark. Use a question mark after a direct question. Open quote, what are you doing? Close quote. Open quote, where do you live? Close quote. Open quote, did you finish your homework? Close quote. But not normally after an indirect question. Open quote, I asked him where he lived. Close quote. Not, open quote, I asked him where he lived. Close quote. The entire sentence is a statement, not a direct question. Number 10, exclamation mark. Use to express strong emotion, surprise, excitement, warning, etc. Open quote, congratulations, close quote. Open quote, watch out, close quote. Open quote, that's amazing, close quote. It is common in informal writing, but don't overuse it in formal writing. Number 11, apostrophe. There are two major grammar uses. A, possession. Open quote, John's car, close quote. The car belongs to John. Open quote, my boyfriend's watch, close quote, calls the watch belongs to my boyfriend. Plural possessive, open quote, the student's books, close quote, books belonging to several students. Compare, open quote, students, one student, students equals several students, close quote. B, contractions. An apostrophe can show missing letters. Open quote, it's equals it is, it has, close quote. Open quote, I'm equals I am, close quote. Open quote, don't, do not, close quote. Open quote, can't equal cannot, close quote. Open quote, didn't, did not, close quote. Example, open quote, it's too late, close quote, it is too late. Important, it's skook, it's open quote, the dog hurt its leg equals possessive, close quote, open quote, it's raining, it is raining, close quote. 12, hyphen, a hyphen joins words together. Compound adjectives, open quote, a 5-minute walk, close quote. Open quote, a well-known actor, close quote. Open full-time job, close quote. Notice, open quote, a 5-minute walk, close quote. 5-minute describes walk. So the words work together as a compound adjective. But open quote, the walk lasted 5 minutes, close quote. No hyphen because 5 minutes comes after the verb and is not functioning as a compound adjective before a noun. Number 13, a dash can indicate a strong pause or add extra information. Open quote, a 5-minute walk and he still took a taxi, close quote. The dash creates a noticeable pause and gives the second part extra emphasis. Compare, open quote, a 5-minute walk and he still took a taxi, close quote. The dash is stronger than the comma. 14. Brackets. Brackets add extra information. Open quote, someone not me left the door open, close quote. Open quote, my brother who lives in London is visiting us, close quote. A useful test. Remove the information inside the brackets. Open quote, someone left the door open, close quote. The basic sentence still works. Number 15, quotation marks. Quotation marks are commonly used for direct speech. Open quote, she said I'm tired, close quote. Open quote, he asked where are you going, close quote. They show the exact words spoken by someone. Number 16, slash. A slash can show alternatives. Open quote, single, married, close quote. This means, open quote, single or married, close quote. Another example, open quote, and or, close quote. It can mean one possibility, the other, or both, that depending on context. Number 17, punctuation and sentence connection. This is one of the most important grammar points from the page. You have two complete clauses. Open quote, I was tired, I went home, close quote. You can connect them in different ways. Full stop. Open quote, I was tired, I went home, close quote. Semicolon, open quote, I was tired, I went home, close quote. Conjunction, open quote, I was tired, so I went home, close quote. But open quote, I was tired, I went home, close quote. This is a comma splice in standard English. Two independent clauses have been incorrectly joined with only a comma. Number 18, conjunctions. Your page specifically mentions and but. And adds information, open quote, I went home and I watched TV, close quote. But shows contrast. Open quote, I was tired, but I continued studying, close quote. So shows result, open quote, I was tired, so I went home, close quote. These words connect parts of sentences. Number 19, such as versus like. Both can introduce examples in many contexts. Open quote, I like sports such as basketball and football, close quote. Open, I like sports like basketball and football, close quote. Meaning, such as equals, for example. The page specifically teaches that such as and like can have the same meaning when introducing examples. Number 20, instead of plus noun amas-ing, it means in place of. Open quote, I use this dictionary instead of the other one, close quote. Open quote, I walked instead of taking the bus. Close quote, open quote, let's drink tea instead of coffee, close quote. Structure instead of plus noun, open quote, instead of coffee, close quote, instead of plus verbing, open quote, instead of drinking coffee, close quote. Not, open quote, instead of drink coffee, close quote. 21. Omit versus leave out. These have essentially the same meaning. Omit equals leave out, open quote, you can omit exercise 5, close quote, open quote, you can leave out exercise 5, close quote. Both mean, open quote, do not include exercise 5, close quote, but omit is generally more formal. Number 22, connect versus join. Both can mean put things together. Open quote, connect the two sentences. Close quote, open quote, join the two sentences, close quote. In grammar, open quote, you can join two sentences using and, close quote. Example, open quote, I was tired, I went home, close quote. Open quote, I was tired and I went home, close quote. Number 23, separate versus divide. Both involve making things apart, but their uses differ. Separate, keep things apart, open quote, separate the good apples from the bad ones, close quote. Divide, split something into parts, open quote, divide the class into 3 groups, close quote. So, separate equals keep apart, divide equals split into parts. The grammar framework from this lesson, you can organize everything into this system. 1, build the sentence, open quote, subject, verb, object, complement, close quote. 2, start correctly, open quote, capital letter, close quote. 3, finish correctly, open quote, close quote. Connect ideas, open quote, and but so, close quote. 5, organize information, open quote, commas, brackets, dashes, close quote. 6, show relationships, open quote, apostrophe equals possession contraction, hyphen equals compound words, quotation marks equals direct speech, slash equals alternatives, close